My name is Mac Clemmens. I'm the CEO of Digital Deployment. When I was in college, I started a business. I started a website development company. It grew a lot. People needed websites built at that time, and it's grown and grown. Well, I actually started building websites because I had to. One of my parents lost their jobs and I wasn't able to pay my way through school, so I kind of had to start a business out of necessity. But it was a good thing. At first I did it because I thought, oh great, I can have money to go travel. But then I found in the process, building websites, it's a way to illuminate an organization. It's a way to help tell a story. And to be able to share the power of a wish when we created the Make-A-Wish Foundation, or to be able to help somebody out of a violent living situation when we created a new website for Weave. I mean, we're really getting involved and getting connected in the community. And so not only did I enjoy the technical challenge, I enjoyed the personal challenge. Apparently, when I was 3 years old, and this is just according to my parents, I was already using the computer. So I was able to load up programs and type. I was just learning to talk at the same time, but my brother and sister would teach me keyboard shortcuts and stuff on this old Commodore 64. And so I'd use it and I'd load up programs and I'd play around. And my parents thought it was very unusual. I'd also lock and unlock all the doors in the house, and I'd turn on and off all the lights, and I'd make noise at church whenever a light bulb was burnt out. I'd say, uh-oh, ba, and my mom was like, quiet, just please be quiet. But you don't have to point out every burnout light. But some of that sticks. If I see something wrong on a website today, I'll be like, it's the same instinct, it's the same drive to fix things. I would say that my parents have probably been one of the strongest advocates for me. I know when I was 11, my mom enrolled me in a college class for computer programming, and she even took the class with me. She ended up getting a B and I got an A. But there was a lot of support, I think, in my family. Something else that's interesting is that when I was growing up, I loved computers. I would get home, I would work on the computer, and I thought about it and I was like, man, I can't take any classes in computers at school at all. With the exception of going to college, when I was like 11 or 12, there was no way to do it. My first computer class in the public school system wasn't until I was 17. And I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was 11 or 12 years old, don't worry, like what you're good at hasn't even been invented or adopted yet. There's not even classes in it yet. To just consider for a moment that the thing I would be doing for the rest of my life, utilizing technology and being a leader in that space, it didn't even exist. I wish I could just say, you know what, don't worry. I always felt like school didn't really matter especially when I was in middle school. Because I saw the kids that got straight A's and they were so uninteresting. I wanted to make movies, I wanted to play on computers, and they would read these boring books and write these boring essays. And I was like, if they're all going somewhere if everyone said, you need to have good grades to be successful, you need to have good grades to move to the next step, well, I don't want to go where they're going. That doesn't sound very interesting. And I wish I could have told myself back then that it will open doors in the future. Like, a little bit of the boring stuff now will get you a long way, being able to open doors to pursue more interesting stuff later. If you have the ability to do something, that's great. If there's something that's exciting to you, that's great. Like, keep doing it. Don't give up. I started my business almost on accident because I had to, because life had a little wrinkle. And I wonder if that hadn't happened, if I would have just automatically engaged as an entrepreneur. Like, it was a matter of survival for me. I had to pay my way through school. I did not want to drop out. It was too late to get loans. So it's time to start working, start building a company, because I had to build a company. I didn't want to drop out. So that necessity is the mother of invention. But it's like passion was always there, and I just had the moment to apply it. And if I could go back in time, I just wonder why I didn't start that business when I was 18. Why did I wait till I was 20? It was really easy. When I was in high school, I wasn't necessarily the coolest kid or whatever, but I learned that being a nerdy computer guy actually had some benefits. Like, I got to run newspaper, so I got to report on everything and everybody's programs. So, if you wanted to be nice to me, maybe you'd get better coverage. Maybe I'd just be more interested and more connected to what you're doing. I think being good at computers has also affected the quality of my life a lot. Like, when my friends were poor college students, I was making websites on the side and driving fancy cars, and making, 6 figures when I was 19 or 20. So that's totally different too. If you like video games, don't just play video games, learn to make video games. Download Gary's mod, download some sort of environment. Don't just consume what's given to you, create it. You can do so much more, you can learn so much more, you can appreciate so much more if you get engaged. There's no such thing as failure. You don't fail, you just haven't succeeded yet. And if you just shift your brain, that's why what I love about websites. They're never quite finished, so if they're messed up, just fix them. It's not like newspapers where you go to press and your mistakes and your typos are out there forever. You can always fix it, you can always improve it. And that's like life. You're never just down and out forever. You can't fail forever, you can't be broke forever. Every major breakthrough we have was where we bit off more than we could chew, and we kept chewing. So whether it was Google's exhibit at the Smithsonian, whether it was a new website for the California Hospital Association when we were just a tiny little company and we were going up against all these other big firms, we always just took a risk, because to me there's no failure. There's just haven't quite been successful yet. So if you just keep trying, it'll work out. One thing that I didn't realize when I was a student in school is that who I am only as an individual does not matter as who I am as part of a team. Everywhere in education, you're measured with grades, with scores, and you're measured individually. But look at the real world. Did Steve Jobs produce Apple Computer by himself? Did our successful businesses and firms and companies single people? Almost never. In the world after school, you're measured in terms of what you can produce as a team, not what you produce individually. So if you have some gaps in your talents, if you maybe are forgetful, I know I'm really forgetful and I can't remember what's going on in a day, but I have Sloan, I've got Carson, I've got a team of people that are dedicated to keep me on task. And that's a difference. Like where I get dinged in school, I get complimented by employees and by team members. Like, don't worry about your gaps. Don't worry if you can't get an A in a certain class, because you can still be extraordinarily successful. In the future, you won't be getting a grade as an individual. You'll be getting a grade as a team, as a group, as a family. And that's just one thing that was not clear to me when I was young.